Hey everyone, this is NJ here, host of the NJ podcast, and welcome to episode 33, where I will be talking about my favorite sports person of all time. For he is my GOAT. He may not be the GOAT, but he is my GOAT. And in light of the US Open that's about to kick off in his bid for his 23rd Grand Slam title, I wanted to do a show about Rafael Nadal and the things that we can learn from him. He is the Spanish tennis player from Mallorca who became the youngest man to win the career Grand Slam and the French Open title. His exploits and prowess on the clay surface have donned him the nickname the King of Clay. He has been called by the greatest tennis players of all time as their greatest rival and their toughest competitor to play against. He holds a record 14 French Open titles and has become the all-time leader in Grand Slams when he won his 21st Grand Slam title at the 2022 Australian Open, and then he went and won a 22nd record-extending 22nd Grand Slam title at Roland Garros, which means that he now has 14. Think about that. He has 14 French Open titles. That is one of the craziest achievements and records in all of sports. And this puts him just one over his eternal rival, Novak Djokovic, who now has 21, and two over Roger Federer, who now has 20 Grand Slam titles. Some people hail him as the greatest of all time, the most loved tennis player, and one of the most humble of the sport. His name is Rafael Nadal, and there are some lessons that we can all learn from him, even if you're a consultant, entrepreneur, professional. Let's dive into these lessons. The first one is that you need to start young. Someone said about him, "I looked at you there, a big grown-up champion with his arms in the air, and suddenly my mind leapt back in time and I saw an image of a deadly, serious, skinny little boy of 7 training on a court back home in Monaco." Now, Nadal started holding a racket at the age of 4 years old. He had the advantage of his uncle having been a professional tennis player himself and his family being really manic about football. It was clear early on that his talents lay in sports and not any other area. Having seen this, the focus was tennis and specializing in tennis academies. He turned pro at 15 years old, and by 19 years old he won his first Grand Slam, the 2005 French Open. At 22 years of age, he had already defeated his eternal rival in 4 Grand Slam finals. His long tenure, records, and displays have been a result of starting young and working towards longevity. Now, if you look at those who have succeeded over a long period, they were able to identify at a young age what they wanted to do, what they wanted their life to look like, and focused solely on that. They have been able to achieve a lot at a relatively young age because they started their course very young and stuck with it to accumulate tens of thousands of hours to achieve a level beyond mastery. When you start young and stay for the long run, you stack the odds in your favor to live a fulfilled life, achieve mastery, and put yourself in the conversation of being considered the greatest of all time. GOAT. The second lesson would be play with passion, intensity, and humility. People sometimes exaggerate this business of humility. It's a question simply of knowing who you are, where you are, and that the world will continue exactly as it is without you. I think that doubts are good in life. The people who don't have doubts, I think only 2 things: arrogance or not intelligence. These are some quotes from Rafael Nadal. Now, some consider Nadal to be the most humble and down-to-earth sportsman. He is gracious even in defeat, takes time to answer fan and journalist questions, and has never come out to say that he is the greatest or better than anyone else. When asked about being the best, he always plays the question down and talks about his love for the sport, that he has achieved more than he ever dreamed of, and he wants to keep working hard. For others, if they achieved 22 Grand Slams, were called the King of Clay and one of the greatest sportsmen in history, they would let it go to their heads and start alienating others. Nadal knows that the world will continue without him, there and takes time to doubt himself to keep himself grounded so he can keep on working harder. Mike Tyson also shares the sentiment. To keep his ego in check, he would refer to past boxers who would go 89 fights undefeated. This reflection would keep him humble. Now, Nadal's playstyle is laced with passion and intensity. He chases every ball, is known for impregnable defense, and you can see the passion in his celebrations when he wins a point and a match. It is this passion and intensity that has endeared him to so many fans and allowed him to transcend the game of tennis. This passion and intensity, fused with his humility, are what makes Nadal the competitor he is. When you do your work with an unbridled passion and intensity that borders on obsession, you are immediately labeled a high performer. When you speak with volume and conviction, when you connect with people, you look them in the eye. When you commit to a deadline and goal, you deliver above and beyond what is expected. Over time, this will be noticed and the plaudits and laurels will start coming in. If you are not vigilant, these will go to your head. You will buy into your own PR and start being arrogant. This arrogance will alienate others and cause you to drop the high standard that got you to where you are. Then surely you will fall, as the scripture says, pride comes before a fall. When you realize that the world will continue without you and you intentionally and intelligently doubt yourself, you keep your ego in check and make sure that you keep the passion and intensity to deliver at an exceptional level. Play with passion, intensity, and humility. The third lesson we can learn from Nadal is never give up. This is what he said. I learned that you always have to hang in there. That however remote your chances of winning might seem, you have to push yourself to every limit of your abilities and try your luck. That day in Melbourne, I saw more clearly than ever before that the key to this game resides in the mind. And if the mind is clear and strong, you can overcome almost any obstacle, including pain. The mind can triumph over matter. He never gives up, ever. If you could define Nadal in one word, it would be grit. This is the mental and emotional quality of not giving up no matter how hard or insurmountable the odds may be. Nadal has been plagued with injuries. Came up against the greatest of all-time rivals in Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, has won points that only he can defend as out of this world, that can only be defined as out of this world, and has been involved in the greatest tennis matches ever played. He played the best men's final of all time, the 2008 Wimbledon final against Roger Federer, the longest men's final, the 2012 Australian Open against Djokovic, and recently he had a foot injury, was out for 4 months, contracted COVID-19 and didn't know if he would ever play tennis again. He trained, focused and entered the 2022 Australian Open. There were many matches that came down to the wire for him and he pulled a miracle out of the hat. In the final against Medvedev, he was 2 sets down. Medvedev is 10 years younger, at the peak of his powers, and recently defeated Novak Djokovic in the 2021 Australian Open final in straight sets. Nadal hadn't won a Grand Slam match coming from 2 sets down since 2007. It looked like the match was over. However, Nadal is mentally tough, has a deep belief in being able to come back from adversity and pushing his abilities to the maximum. He came back to win 3 sets in a row to win the championship and make history by becoming one of 4 men to win all 4 Grand Slam titles at least twice and being the man with the most Grand Slams in history. He went and extended his record by going and winning Roland Garros for a record-extending 14th time. So now he has 22 Grand Slam titles. Never give up, even when the odds don't seem to be in your favor. Anything in life is possible when you make it happen. People with this deep-rooted belief that everything is possible always do things that are extraordinary. There are examples of this throughout history. The moon landing, putting drones on Mars, having your entire music collection in your pocket, fast cars and businesses reaching $1 trillion evaluation. In sports, this is also prevalent. Muhammad Ali defeated George Foreman in 1974. Leicester City won the Premier League title in 2015 and 16. Chelsea won the 2011-2012 Champions League. The USA defeated the USSR in the 1980 Olympic hockey. Eric Weihenhammer submitted Mount Everest, and now, he summited Mount Everest. And now Nadal has won 21 Grand Slams at the age of 35. Well, he's won 22 Grand Slams at the age of 36. All these feats in science, business, and sports were not possible, but people who did not give up made them possible. There will always be insurmountable odds, deadlines that seem impossible, and requirements that seem crazy. This is life. Life is here to test us so we can grow and reach the edge of our abilities. This won't happen unless you face something you don't know if you can overcome. However, what will evolve you is belief. If you have belief and condition your mind to triumph over matter, you will achieve the impossible. 22 Grand Slams later, Nadal has shown us all that you must never give up, ever. Vamos, Rafael Nadal. Vamos.